Well, what's the crack, everybody? How are you getting on? Welcome to another buckshot. What are we on? 20 what? 203? Are we? I think we're on. I don't know. I don't know. It's Friday the 22nd. 22nd of October Day. Oh, Jesus Christ. Huh? No more restrictions. In the gate, lads. In the gate. Wild as fun horses. You're all very welcome. We're trucking along nicely. I have a few more recorded and all in the can, so we're doing well. We're doing well. We're ahead of ourselves. This is great stuff. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, I'm in Galway tonight. Where am I? Tonight I'm in Naas. I'm doing something in Naas. I'm not fully sure. I'll be able to explain it to you another day. I'll explain it on the Ramble Pod during the week. What in the Christ I'm doing. I'm gigging of some sort anyway. I don't know. The Ramble Pod, of course, is purely for the Patreons. It's for anybody that wants to become a Patreon. How's that? Put a bit nicer. So it's exclusive over on the Patreon page. Midweek ramblings, having to crack, telling you everything that's happened during the week, and having a look at some fucking weird stories and whatnot. We do have a live one, of course. We have a live one coming up. I think we're going to do it on the 31st. I'll give you a heads up on all that. And again, it's beautiful crack. We pick a subject, no recording, no nothing, and we all just have a nice old natter. And it's loosey-goosey and it's lovely. We have a few drinks and the crack is 90. I think we'll try and aim for the 31st. Halloween night. Get absolutely sozzled on fucking sweets and beer. Sounds good. Anyway, like I said, I'm in Naas tonight and I'll be in Galway tomorrow night and Sunday night. And then back in UCH next Wednesday. Yes, it is Wednesday with Emma Dorn and Julie J. UCH in Limerick. So if you're anywhere within the region, come on down. It's going to be a good time. So that's the crack. With Patreon, you know the story. Everybody knows the story with Patreon at this stage. It helps benefit the show. Well, it does. It supports the show. But as well as that, you get the video to today's and rakes of other interviews. You get exclusively over on the Patreon page. As well as that, you get the ad-free. If ads give you a pain in your pipe, go over there. No ads. Clean audio. And now you can link apparently it's the RSS feed. You can link it from Patreon straight to your favourite app. So you know the story. Then you don't have to go into Patreon. It just arrives in your phone as per normal. But you get it ad-free and you're supporting the show. As well as that, you get access to the videos, ad-free content and the live stuff. And everything's a bit earlier over there as well. Like last night, this went up on the Patreon page. So, it's all around good stuff. It's good stuff. And you get the Ramble Pods, which are exclusively Patreon during the week as well. So there you go. Benefits all around. If if it's not for you anyway, but it is an easy thing to do. If you have PayPal, you'll be in and out in 30 seconds. I would appreciate a 5-star rating. Give us the 5-star rating. If you are able to, over on Apple Podcasts or Acast or whatever, leave a comment wherever you can. Failing all that, just screen grab it. Tag the show. Tag me. Buckshot Podcast. Tom O'Mahony Comedy. Tag me, whichever. On most likely Instagram is probably the best place if that's where you're at. It's all good. It just lets people know what you're listening to. And if anybody's looking for recommendations, send them my way. Christ and Christ above, we've over 200 episodes. There's something in there for everybody. There has to be. Anyway, one more thing. People have been messaging going, Jesus Christ, you didn't just end the Tom and Jerry show. We did 10 episodes in season 6. We will be recording season 7 not too far in the future. So don't worry. If there's any particular subjects you want us to point in our direction, or you want to comment on any stuff that has gone on beforehand, keep it up, because Jerry is mighty on the socials when it comes to that. Don't worry. There's a rake more to go back and listen to, which people have been doing, which is class. Somebody listened to the house building episode 3 times. 3 times making notes. I love that shit. So there you have it. There's the Tom and Jerry show. Keep it. If you haven't listened to it, you're going, what the fuck's he talking about? Jerry with a G. Tom and Jerry show podcast. You'll find us. 2 cartoony looking faces that kind of look like us. Hit subscribe. There's a rake of stuff there for you. As well as that, like I said, we will be recording a new one fairly soon, so don't worry, you don't have too long of a wait. Moving on to today's guest, he is an outstanding talent. Very, very funny, and while there's a lot of impressionists and stuff out there, he does a brilliant deepfake. That's what really interested me, the deepfake thing, and kind of the brilliant weirdness of it. He's very, very good, and we get into explaining as to how in the Christ you make this stuff. And man, it's not for the faint-hearted. Sure, there is apps and all the rest, but to do it as good as he's doing it right now, you really need to be able to put the time in and know what you're talking about, because I wouldn't even know where to start with the likes of the tech and the IT that goes behind this. But I'm going to let him explain. Please enjoy the brilliant Stephen Connolly. Stephen Connolly, you're very welcome to Buckshot. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's great to. I don't chat to a whole lot of people these days, you know.
I know, and that's
You know?
I nearly feel. Who was this? It was only a couple. It was Pat McDonald was last week. It was, this is therapeutic. I'm normally up here in the attic by myself most of the time.
Yeah.
This is just to talk to another adult.
Yeah, I'm the same. My wife works in the. She's out now, but she's usually works in the next room. So we're in a small apartment, you know. So
right.
She works in the film industry, you know. So she's had those sort of woes this year, you know, with cinemas being closed and all this kind of stuff. So she's next door. I'm in here, and so for a good portion, it was like Groundhog Day, you know. Meet each other for lunch.
Yeah.
That's it.
Jesus, yeah, there was that. Yeah, and it sounds like a great plan. You're like, great. We'll work from home. We'll keep the place brilliant. It'll look like a proper office. We'll have, and lo and behold, the weekend, you're like, well, there's no clean plates. Why? Where the? You know?
Yeah, like it's. I'll be running back now to the office, as they say, when I can, you know. So.
Yeah, because I'd say where a lot of people probably came across you, would have come across you, was the one that really spiked. Now, I'd seen the one, I think had I seen the Padraig one first, Padraig the Wedge. But I'd see it was the Johnny and Ronan one.
Oh yeah,
that got
Breakfast Club. Yeah,
that was in Breakfast Club, and I watched it over, and it's just one of those ones, and it's so transferable. Like, you can show it to anybody, and they only half know who Johnny Sexton is. And I'd be a rugby fan, like, and I'm watching, going, look at the big grumpy head in that bastard, because that is exactly they're two grumpy bastards. They're perfect to put in such a jovial scene, like, you know.
Yeah.
But that was the first one that really I assume spiked for a lot of people, because even I remember News Talk and everything showed it, and Johnny had seen it, and Raj had seen it, you know, so it was great. Yeah. Did you get any feedback where you went, oh, right?
I did. I got a DM from Raj, you know. So
did
you know, he said that it was actually it was on the second one he DM'd me, the Mighty Ducks one. Did you see that?
Yes. Oh, that's class.
So he really he enjoyed that one. So he said that we'd go for a few pints sometime and have a laugh, you know. So I said, oh yeah, okay, I'd be on for that, you know. But yeah, no, the feedback, yeah, it was great. Like, it was, as I was kind of taken aback a little bit, because, you know, that wasn't my first video. Obviously, I've done so many before, so I'd kind of gotten used to, you know, some of them had been kind of hits as such, or whatever, viral, but they were quite far apart, you know. So like, you could have like maybe one a year or something like that. So I can't remember what ones I put out beforehand, but, you know, kind of a few tumbleweeds in there, you know. So I remember sending it to my brother, or my two brothers, you know, and I usually just send them to get feedback. And they were like, you need to put that up now. Like, they were falling around laughing, you know. So I was going, geez, okay, this is good. And my wife, who would know nothing about rugby, you know, she loved it. So I was like, okay, well, it's, you know, you don't have to be into rugby to kind of appreciate it and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it was, I couldn't believe, it was great. You know, it was, because the deepfakes I'd done, like, I'd seen a guy, where I first came across them, it was probably about 2.5 years ago. There was a fella who had, I don't know if you know the movie, No Country for Old Men.
Yes, yeah.
So some guy had basically taken the scene where he goes in, and he, you know, the flip a coin scene where he goes into the
shop,
petrol station. Yeah. And he had hired an impressionist to he'd changed Javier Bardem's face to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right. Oh yeah.
But then he hired an impressionist to do Schwarzenegger, And then he obviously edited and added in the sound and the ambience and the whole kind of stuff. So I tried to contact him and said, like, here, I do voices, whatever ones, and listed off whatever ones, So I never got back to me. And I was like, so I tried a whole raft of ways of trying to do it myself. And then came across this basically on GitHub, which is kind of a developer repository
Yes.
for various different things. So there's this basically manual that was translated directly from Russian to English. So it was really hard to understand, but you get these source files basically, right? But you have to have the hardware, and then had to go off, get an old PC, refurbish it, and then like get the GPU, the graphics processing unit in it to sort of the graphics card basically to handle all the machine learning, because it takes a lot of, like, you have to run these things for maybe 24 hours sometimes.
Jesus Christ. The guards must have thought you were growing weed in the house or something with the electricity spike going.
Oh yeah, like, I mean, like the difference in the bills was like, there was at least, the bills were about 100 quid a month or whatever like that. It literally went up to like 140 because I was trying everything. I literally just had the thing running non-stop, trying different ones, and they don't all come out well. Some of them look, they're like, science experiments. They're just horrific.
Right? Yeah.
So
this is an incredible lesson for anybody who's going, I think I might give that thing a go. You're like, have a listen to the last 3 minutes there, what Steve had to go through. Basically, translate from Russian to kind of, plug in, and you're like, what? And then go get a PC, rebuild the engine on the bastard, hook it up, and just keep on trial and error until you get it. Like,
well, you see, you can. There's apps now like Face App and stuff like that,
but they're not as sharp as what you did, though. Because I've done the Face App thing. We've all given it a go where you're, you're Rocky or whatever, or you're in the Moulin Rouge, but it's never, yes, it is your face to a degree, but it's never as sharp as the stuff you put up, like the deepfake stuff.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is you can kind of pick a scene from any movie, and then you can sort of, then whatever characters are in it, you can basically, cut them all out and replace them. Then, but the hardest part is probably sometimes finding the source material. So if you want, say for example, for Johnny Sexton or for Raj, it's actually finding footage of them, looking like this and looking like that and smiling.
With all their aspects of their face, yes.
Yeah, and that's like you're just trawling through, like you don't bother going to images and stuff like that. Just go to YouTube and then finding a video, and then the video has to be in the same sort of lit in the same sort of way,
Shit, yeah, of course.
So if they're inside and the lighting is bad, you have to get a footage of them inside. Lighting is bad, like. But once you have it, then you have it for good. So that's why I was able to, when the Mighty Ducks one came along, I still had my little pot of Raj to recycle. So it was.
Well, I can't. Yeah, but I can't not let you, tell me you got a DM from Raj and not ask you to do an impression of Raj, asking you to go for a couple of pints.
Well, I suppose I'd have to really have the little white things in the air and say, listen, brilliant, well done. I thought the performance was very well, but listen, I think we go for a few pints and maybe have a laugh about it. How about that?
Because I lived in Cork for years, and would you believe it? I was a civil engineer. I put the foundations in for Roger's house, and I remember talking with the boss, and he was going, where does that accent from? Like, because that's the strangest Cork accent. And he goes, and this guy was dying the old Cork. He loved everything Cork and Cork. But with Raj, he went, I don't know where he got that accent from. Like, but I can only, so it's it's not June, just a Cork accent. Like, he leaves his vowel very, like, there's, there's a strangeness.
There's out every once in a while where, it'd be like, he'd be saying, I thought they were very, very solid in the first half, but I know, there's a little kind of like,
You're definitely, but of course he was born in America, wasn't he? Or I think he's born in Texas or something.
Yeah, it was, I think, San Diego
San Diego, that's it.
or
Yeah,
Miami. One of those. I think it could be San Diego.
yeah, because he was he was looking for more money that time. He was threatening to sign to the Miami Dolphins.
Oh
He
yeah,
let
I heard of it. I didn't
he
know,
let
to
his
know that. I thought that
agent
was
he let
real.
his agent just spin this story, and he was playing golf apparently in the Old Head on a Kinsale, and the Miami Dolphins just happened to be there at the same time, and some Examiner reporter ran with it, and his agent absolutely pumped the tires on it that, well, he might, he might fuck off to America and start kicking. Sure, why wouldn't he? And that was the genius of it. Imagine Raj in Miami. Like,
Well, that's it. Do you know what? I think you might have. Given me an idea for a video
that's
here. I
where I
think.
was going with this. I was like, you cannot let this off. Like, where maybe he's in Any Given Sunday.
Yeah, I think I was making a little note of that.
There you go. I
Yeah.
think we created the next one just there because he's so he thinks about everyone and lots. What's weird is I've had like Andy Dunn on my podcast, and Andy Dunn used to kick for Leinster as well. But
he's brilliant.
brilliant. But he thinks about every word. There's no wasted words. He's got plenty to say, but there's no wasted words. And you see, Sexton is the same. It's like, I'm not giving you anything more than is necessary, but it would be all good stuff. It's a weird kind of mindset, isn't it, that you see from these top end fellas?
Yeah. I love John. I can't. I mean, I hope Johnny lasts as long as he can. I have a feeling. I think he could make the World Cup. I really do.
I'm telling you now, they will have CRISPR in China developing new arms for him. They will have a new liver for him. Whatever gets him through, because nobody's close, even within an assets. There's a couple of prospects, but there's nobody close to him, even still at 30, whatever, 6 or 35. So I'm telling you, they will, in whatever's legal or even semi-legal or even immoral, they will get him to the World Cup. I guarantee you.
Yeah. No, I think and I mean, because I know, he looks at Tom Brady's career, and the longevity and stuff like that, and I'd say, I mean, I think he's putting everything into that sort of longevity, so it'd be great, obviously.
You see, fellas,
we need somebody else, obviously, but
Yeah, you see, fellas, though. I mean, he can break the rule, you know what I mean, and he doesn't have as many miles on the clock as a lot of fellas. He was off for long-term injuries too, and that can add on to the end of a career as well, So it'll be. I guarantee you they'll get him there, because there's no plan. Yeah. There's no plan really outside him. The incumbent Prince Joey was supposed to, and Joey hasn't fired a shot yet. You know what I mean, this season, and who's next? Jack Carty. You saw his last World Cup. So there's, not to put too fine a point on it. Johnny's still the man. It's as simple as that. But you did, because one of the other ones I'd seen as well, and it must be because I'm into rugby that these things pop up on my timeline. But you did, it was so delicious. It was Tyke Furlong as Annie.
Oh yeah,
and Paul O'Connell as Teddy Warbucks.
I kind of backed myself into a corner with that one, because I was kind of at the end, that one was like a week after the Breakfast Club, and
right.
I was like, the Breakfast Club, there was no timeline on that really. I knew that I wanted to put it out before one of the Ireland games, and then it was like, I better put it out before whatever one it was. But then I was like, at the end, I was like, oh, thanks a million, and I said, next week it'll be.
Oh.
And then I just picked Tyke Furlong and Paul O'Connell. And then I was like, Jesus, now I actually have pinned myself into doing these two lads in it. So I was thinking, who's big and bald? And I was going for Paul O'Connell. I was like, Annie. I've never even seen Annie, believe it or not. I would obviously have seen. I've seen clips of it, and it would been on TV, but I wouldn't have watched it, And then I was like, so okay, well, I could potentially put Tyke Furlong in here. So, but that was all done in a week. That was kind of, that was that was the fastest one I've ever put together. So they usually take a lot longer than a week, But
I think because Tyke Furlong, you could put him into because he's such a fan favorite, isn't he? He doesn't give a shit. He's such a hardcore culture, and he absolutely loves it. John Fogarty, the forwards coach on the podcast, and he was saying, "Oh, listen, he says I'm coaching, but that fella just leans into it so heavy, it's ridiculous." Like, it's
Yeah.
but so there's
But
so many.
he's got such an expressive face as
Yeah,
well, and which is
yeah,
brilliant because sometimes what the machine, what the algorithm does, right? And by the way, when I say I put it in, the algorithm is already there, like it's a model. So you literally you get all the source data, which is the faces and the other ones together, and then you run these batch files, basically creates the model, right? But
yeah.
he's got such an expressive face that sometimes like so say for example in a scene, if I do this or whatever, sorry, in the scene that the actor does that, and I don't have one of Tig doing that, it
Yes.
sort of improvises a little bit,
Okay,
so
right.
that's the beauty of it sometimes, that he has such an expressive face, and so all of the kind of the data that you have with him, it comes out looking really funny, and that's why when the Annie clips or whatever came out, all of these faces, all these little kind of like
Yeah, yeah,
kind of
yeah,
things that
yeah,
he
yeah.
did, or yeah.
Again,
So
I've been absolutely illiterate when it comes to this level of computer. It's brilliant to hear that there is that that is the process and how it comes about. I mean,
mm.
you have to source him something to do with orange spuds. Did you see that? What that time it went viral about him giving out about the orange spuds or the red
No,
spuds?
never.
He was, I don't know, was he in Ireland camp or with the Lions or whatever? And of course they were interviewing, knowing they're going to get a great soundbite off Tig Furlong. And they were like,
Yeah,
how's it go? Oh, it was the Irish camp. And he says, how's it going in Irish camp? He says, oh, great. He says, the chef here is unbelievable. I like my food and stuff. He goes, oh, yeah, you're some man for the spuds. He goes, oh, yeah, and proper spuds too, not them red owl or them orange spuds. And I'm going, orange spuds? What's he? I won't touch them. Like, he basically made a scene about how he thinks sweet potatoes are disgusting and normal spuds are the only spuds you should be eating. And he's totally hamming up the culture thing. Like, what I mean? It's brilliant.
yeah.
But from then, like, there was memes of him sidestepping like sweet potatoes at the time he was sidestepping a couple of players against Scotland and stuff. And it was sweet potatoes, not players coming at him. And it's like, of course, perfect. I don't know if there's the Richard Dreyfuss scene from maybe, where he's what's the alien one Richard Dreyfuss did? Where it was
first no
yes, encounters on the
first
fort.
encounters.
Yes. Do you remember he was making the big pile out of potatoes?
Yeah.
For the mountain. You could get Tig Furlong in there to make I love to be spuds from Wexford.
I saw him was it him DJing on the Lions tour or something like that? Because I remember looking at that going, I said, oh, that's potential. That's an angle there,
Yeah. Gee, that'd be perfect. And then he's playing Richie Kavanagh. Just
yeah.
Well, when pre all the obviously deep fake and everything, and you have you work in IT, so obviously this isn't this is your bread and, or not your bread, but it's where your mind is at when it comes to actually developing these things. But obviously from the get go, you have a core ability to do impressions. Like, where did that start? I know Irish people always think they're great at impressions, but maybe I could do one Tyson Fury and that's it. But honestly, I know I can't do impressions to the level that you should be able to do. Where did it start for you?
I think I remember, like, I have a really vivid memory of somebody playing my own voice on one of these cassette players. Remember back in the day, you put in a cassette and hit record, and then somebody had a microphone and they said speak into it.
Right.
It was like, oh, my name is Stephen. I love the A Team or whatever.
Classic.
And then they played it back, and I was horrified. I was like,
oh yeah.
I was like.
Almost everybody listening to this right now is getting sick at the sound of their own voice. Yeah.
Like I literally can't listen to my own voice. That's the irony. Like, you're taking the piss out of everybody else's voice. I literally cannot listen to myself talk. It's horrendous. And so I think I kind of, I know that I was mad into the A Team. Murdoch in the A Team was
absolutely.
So I think I was just I was probably the most annoying kid running around the house, just trying to do every different voice. But I don't think I think I probably only had like a handful of people
right
that I did up until probably about 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Like, there would have been whatever the standard 5 ones that everybody, like Sean Connery or whoever,
yes,
but my brother, a friend of my brother's was setting up a radio station, I think, or something like that, or he was setting up a show on a radio station. And he was looking for mimics or whatever like that. So anyway, he said like, can you do a few and then send it to him? So I sent it to him. I didn't get it, and then I was like, oh, gee, I was actually really excited about doing it.
Yeah. What ones
And
did
I
you send
didn't
him in,
get
or
it.
can you remember?
I can't remember which ones I sent in. I think probably Bob Geldof, doing, everything, take out your fucking money, and this sort of stuff, and but again, it's all very neat, like you have to have staple ones in there, like
Oh yeah,
I didn't do whoever, 15 year, I didn't do Bertie, or I didn't do it, so you have to have the ones that you can sort of rely on every day, because Bob Geldof doesn't pop up much. He popped up in my other video there, but that was not. But you have to have the likes of Leo or Micheál Martin and stuff like that, so that you can get content out there that's fairly relevant. But yeah, no, that's where I started. So I literally just then, when I was going to work, I'd be listening to interviews and stuff like that. So I started doing all the Hollywood ones first.
Right, yeah.
Which like I've only found out like after about, trying to home in on them for about 5 years, that nobody cares about them.
Yeah, no.
Like my biggest tumbleweeds are definitely the sort of Hollywood ones, So then I just obviously started looking at the sport ones. So I started looking at golf, and like I like watching golf. I'm not a huge golfer now myself, but
yeah.
I've always watched it. So that's where I started doing Rory McIlroy and all those kind of ones, and obviously Padraig Harrington as well. Like Padraig Harrington was the easiest one I've ever done, because I remember I think I was eating my dinner and I could hear him being interviewed, and all I hear was, I thought I played pretty well. The first 3 holes were, pretty good, and I'm going to come back tomorrow. And I was like, please be good, like please have a career, And then next thing I was like, he's totally outdone himself. I was like, thank you. It's like, because you want those people you do to stay relevant, to stay.
Of course, yeah. Don't go anywhere. That's no wonder you want Johnny to stay to the World Cup. You're like, stay to the Christ Almighty, stay to the World Cup.
Yeah. So but they were the main ones, and Rory McIlroy had a big video of Rory McIlroy about 4 years ago, where he was he'd fired his caddy.
Oh yes, yeah.
Or sorry, he'd changed his caddy or whatever.
Yeah.
So there was a kind of big news who he's going to pick. So I started to then, there was on YouTube, there was a few press conferences and stuff like that. So I just decided, rather than like get in front of the camera and all that kind of stuff and setting up lights and all that, whatever, I just voice over the press conference, So I had him sort of, saying, look, I'm, pretty much, looking for a caddy that can, tell me bedtime stories and, Puss in Boots or, Cat in the Hat, but, it really has to be believable, and don't look me in the eye, look down when I'm looking for you, when I'm talking to you and all this kind of stuff, So it was only like a 60-second sort of voiceover, and like it went mad. It was like it was the biggest, because up until that point, you have a few thousand views and stuff. They just had like 500,000 on YouTube, and no, it was crazy, and all like RTE and all these sort of golf networks and everything like that. And I was like, brilliant. But I never.
Yeah, isn't that the thing? Like, I mean, you tapped into what people absolutely love. Like, people fucking love golf, don't they? Like, when they love it, they really love it. So of course, you know what I mean. Before you know it, then you're tapping it. You're like, oh, I never thought of Rory that way. Yeah, but even the likes, what is it happens to the Northern Irish golfers from playing a bit in America? They immediately get this half and half accent, where it's like this.
Oh yeah.
It's like, because Padraig didn't get it. Like,
yeah, I think like Rory's managed to kind of escape it a little bit. You can hear But Graham McDowell, like
Oh,
GMAC
oh,
is,
oh.
you know, he lives down in Florida, and every I used to do videos of him as well, because I don't know if you've ever seen his GMAC at home video.
Oh my God. It is the best, greatest, worst thing I've ever seen in my life. For anybody
Yeah,
wondering, it's him like playing pool and kind of supposedly like candidly answering questions. What do I like at home? You're
yeah.
like it's so
What's your
brilliant.
favorite superhero? It's got to be Batman, because he got toys and he gets the girls too.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it's like, I think, like, I'd say he instantly regretted it, like, because I'm sure he was made do it by
Oh yeah, yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
yeah, and potting the ball. And what was it? Favorite? What's your favorite movie? It's got to be Social Network or Shawshank, something those lines.
It's almost a parody of itself, isn't it? That one, like,
It-
just did somebody do this? Is this a deep fake? It's like, oh, it's not. It's actually a
yeah,
real
yeah,
thing. Wow, incredible. The because I think there's a lot of friends in the conspiracy world and whatnot, and there seems to be not a worry, but I'm thinking a concern when it comes to the level of deep fake that can be done now, because we've all seen deep fake Tom Cruise, and it's pretty
yeah.
like
That's
they're
terrifying. Yeah.
turning out that much. It is kind of terrifying. I mean, you're having the crack and entertaining people with it, obviously, and it's
Mm.
sports stars and in funny situations, but Jesus, like, the way they can. There's somebody did I think they call themselves deep fake something or other on YouTube, but it's like Bill Hader on Conan, and he's doing impressions of like Arnie and stuff. And I remember
Yeah.
watching, and his face literally morphs into Arnold Schwarzenegger's face in the blink of an eye. Like,
Yeah.
oh Jesus Christ, oh Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. Like like the Bill Hader one is kind of cool, because you can see him morphing into it and all that kind of stuff. But I like the deep Tom Cruise one is it's a bit too far, sort of,
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's creepy, like, isn't it?
probably. But it's all dependent. So that he's hired a guy who has the same facial dimensions as Tom Cruise.
Right, yeah, yeah.
If I was to put my face on Tom Cruise, it wouldn't look like Tom Cruise. You know
Or
what I
put
mean?
Tyke Furlong's
Unfortunately.
face on Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I mean, if you find a match, from facial dimensions, and actually from your forehead height is can really
Right.
change the way somebody looks. So um yeah, I mean, it's kind of terrifying, because you know if you got somebody who looked like Joe Biden, or you know Trump, which
Yeah.
they kind of have done already, but you know you get a good impersonator with somebody who has the same facial dimensions, and
Yeah.
these, I mean, like, literally, as I was saying, that, like, you get a high definition set of source data of the pictures of whoever it is.
Yeah.
It'd be very difficult to tell what's real and fake,
Because
and
it's
that's
only
the kind
better
of
it's getting,
terrifying
isn't
thing.
it? Like,
Yeah.
do you know? And of course,
Well, they were.
yeah, sorry, fire away.
Yeah. Well, they're replacing, like, deepfakes have totally kind of superseded CGI and stuff like that. Like, if you go on
Oh,
to
yeah. Yeah. Jesus. Yeah. I didn't even think
if you
about
look
that.
at Star Wars and the what's the one that came out, and no, what's the one that they did? It was a spin-off one, one of
Oh,
the
yeah.
more recent ones.
Yes, I know
Um,
yeah. Yes.
but they replaced Princess Leia's face in CGI, and it looks like, oh, okay, it's her when she's younger, but it looks sort of animated or fake.
Right.
They've
Yeah.
now gone, and, like, people just on the internet have basically done a deep fake of it. So they've actually taken footage of her when she was obviously that age in Star Wars or in other movies, and replaced it into the spin-off, and it actually just looks like her when she was younger. So that's how powerful it is. Like, it's totally superseding all that, the CGI. Now, the only thing with deepfakes is on the side, it doesn't really. It only works face on, really.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you throw anything in front of the face, you can get around it, but it takes a long time to sort of cut around the fingers as it goes across. And same with
Oh, right.
glasses and
Yes.
stuff
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you never want to be deep faked, just go around, wear glasses all the time.
There you go.
That's been the best advice I give you.
I can only imagine this is going to revolutionize the porn industry. In all fairness, they're going to have famous people banging in the porn.
Yeah. Jeez, yeah. That's I know. I think like they're going to have to do something with image rights and
Oh
stuff like
yes,
that.
of course.
I don't think you can geez, and yeah, from that angle, I mean that's really
Like,
terrifying.
that is terrifying. Like
Yeah.
Donald Trump, in a porn, that'd be pretty
Mm.
terrifying in anybody's book. Do you know? It was funny as you talk about image rights and voice rights and stuff like that. Have you ever gotten anybody kind of going, "Hey, here, come on now," or has everybody taken it in good spirits? Like,
No, everybody has been, yeah, because I never really try and really go after people, that
yes,
kind of way.
yeah.
At least I don't think I have. I don't think Johnny was. I don't think he. Not sure he really got it. I don't think he was too offended by it. I don't think he cared about it one way or the other. But I think, well, I did put up a video a few years ago, and it was a famous golfer anyway, American golfer, but he had done an ad on, and at this stage I had just started learning like after this special effects package, After Effects, so
Right, yeah.
it has all these cool things in it, where basically he was doing something, a TV ad, and whatever way he was dancing, and so what I did is I was able to, when he was dancing, I was able to cut out with this thing the background. Because usually, like if somebody's doing an interview on the back of a green screen or a gray screen or a blue screen, you go, happy days. Just take that,
yeah.
and you can change the background. But this was another way of doing it now. It's painstaking, So when I put out the video, I'm not joking. I literally put out the video, and 20 minutes later, the sort of narrative was, this is how he funded his way through college, when he was dancing, right?
Okay.
So
you're just leaving it there. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. In retrospect, it probably wasn't the cleverest thing in the world to do. But anyway, his shirt sponsor came back to me, the CEO of his
CEO.
Yeah. So he said, what are you doing? And I was like, he said, now in fairness to him, he said, you can't be using the content that we have to portray my client in this sort of way. And I was like, you don't have to say anymore. It's gone. Don't worry about it. But in fairness, he said, like, we're happy to have a laugh with it, but just not that. I was like, okay.
Fair enough. All right. Yeah.
But then I changed it, I think I had him kind of that he himself and Michael Flatley were, in the same school together. And Flatley obviously took off, and he ended up playing golf. So that was the closest. I don't think I've run into anybody. I haven't gotten much feedback from many of them, that kind of way. So
well, they're not going to either. Like, that's the one thing I've found talking to any lads that do anything like this. You rarely do get the direct feedback. You'll get friends of theirs maybe mentioning it to you at certain points, but rarely. But fair play to Rog for DMing you. Like,
yeah,
but that'd be him. I'll meet this head on now, and we'll talk this out. Like, that'd be him.
Yeah.
Classic.
I thought that was really good. I was chuffed with that, And Harrington actually has. I did this fake sort of aftershave ad for Harrington, which was compliance, the scent of correctness, because he's a stickler for the rules, So the ad was sort of like, novelty club head covers, shorts above the knee, whatever it was, things that I hate, whatever. It all stinks. Not anymore. Not with compliance, So he retweeted that, saying that that the hopefully the Dubai duty free will stock this for the Irish Open, you know. So that was kind of cool.
Brilliant.
But
because it is funny, the crossover. Somebody was doing an impression of Leo on the radio. I don't know, can't remember, but I remember Amy, who, because I thought it myself, and I thought maybe I'm just imagining that Brian O'Driscoll and Leo actually have the same voice. Their voice.
That's how that's actually how I tried to do O'Driscoll. I don't do a good O'Driscoll, but I remember trying it. They have a sort of, they both have a squeeze on the windpipe, so to speak. You know,
is it a black rock thing? Is it?
Well, it's you know, the sound is kind of like you know, it's like it's there.
Yeah.
So when I tried to actually do O'Driscoll, and I ended up doing Leo, you know, it was like, oh, okay, grand.
Because Amy Hooverman put it up. She said it herself. Leo has been doing some. It was on Instagram. Somebody was doing an impression of Leo. And that's a great impression of my husband, or something. And other people started writing, going, "Oh Christ, it does." He goes, "Yeah, he does sound." And she posted a video of Brian just speaking. And "There's Leo." Basically, they both.
Is that recent? Is it?
Relatively, yeah, it's relatively recent. Basically, she's taking the piss out of Brian for sounding like the, you know, that at the time the Taoiseach. Just going, yeah. They both sound identical to each other. Like, because of course she's an actor, she would listen for voices and stuff like that. That would be on her radar. Like, so it's funny that she even spotted that. But it's the notion of, I suppose, because we were talking beforehand about live performances and stuff like that when it comes to it, and impressions, and that's why you pinged up on my. I was like, oh, this is a different thing now. This is somebody who's actually specializing in the idea of the deep fakes and parodies and stuff like that. Because quite often you can meet that, you know, and I meet lads, you know, on the circuit and stuff, and they're doing impressions. Like, I get you, but you're just going to do the same ones everybody else has done, and you're going to do the same, you know. And they're not. There's an element to them where do you believe in what you're doing? But then when when I saw you, it was like, oh, this guy is putting some effort into this. Like what average time on, say, a 1 to 2 minute video, like a 2 minute video, because your Edge one is a 2 minute. Like, there were so many scenes in that, and you did Bob, you did Padraig, and you need to cut him in on the Edge. Like,
yeah.
How long does that take?
I knew that when he was announced as Ryder Cup captain, I was like, oh.
Thank God. Thank God, yeah.
So I knew I had time to sort of put together. So, like, I had originally had him in Carpool Karaoke, you know, with what's his name?
James Corden, yeah.
James Corden. And I had taken out what's the guy who comes out at the Christmas time to do all the Bublé. So I had him doing like with Bublé's face, but it didn't look right. It just the face, he's kind of got a fairly square face, Bublé, you know, so it looked a bit weird. So that one took I know it took probably about 6 weeks, maybe.
Did it? Jesus, yeah.
So, like, because the scene with Bob Geldof is so, you know what actually takes the longest kind of part of the whole thing sometimes is doing the ambience, you know, the background, you know,
and that's
it's all dead sound. Yeah. So with him, with the sort of Mighty Ducks one, right, which was really hard to do as well, was
Jesus, yeah, some amount in that.
Because it was all the kids, you know, they go, you know, Ian Portman from Chicago, Illinois, and then trying to make like 6 kids sound different.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, sometimes that takes a while, and then, you know, the music. But for that Wedge one, yeah, it took about 6 weeks. Probably because you chop and change it, and you know you can waste, like, it was probably another 20 minutes of different footage of the Wedge being interviewed in 60 minutes and all this kind of stuff. And then it just didn't fit into the video because it has to be like 2 minutes. People don't watch anything longer than 2 minutes.
No, you know? They do not. But that could be part of your series, like your Wedge series.
The Wedge series. Well, I was thinking, I always wanted him to sing, you know, this kind of way to do a video where he's singing, you know.
That's so wrong, like, because Padraig Harrington would never sing. And that's what's beautiful about that. Like, he would never sing. Like, you just know he wouldn't. Yeah.
So that's why, you know, the tiny little bit in that video where, you know, he's saying, you know, the bit numb.
At the choir. Yes.
Yeah.
Weird analogy about being in a choir or something.
But I'm thinking of a Christmas album, on the same line with
Oh,
the
beautiful.
Joshua T for Christmas. So putting out a couple of U2's favorite hits.
Joshua
We'll see
T.
how that goes.
Brilliant. Because there is, of course, there's the famous story of Sergio and Padraig kissing and making up at
Oh yeah.
Rory's, and I'm just putting it out there, at Rory's wedding. Apparently, they actually physically had to kiss to make up. Yeah.
All right.
So just
Well,
leaving that,
be.
I'm just leaving that on your table, Steve. I'm not saying.
So you're telling me that I need to recreate the pottery making scene in Ghost
with Sergio, and yeah, and then have to do it tastefully and no appropriating. But Rory does have to be Whoopi Goldberg, I'm afraid, at some point, because Rory makes it happen where the two of them actually kiss and make up at his wedding. So it's
Well, I did hear. I heard that they were. I suppose he picked him as he was one of his 12 picks, wasn't he? Sergio.
Yeah.
So yeah, they must have.
Well, they hated each other apparently. And then what's his name? It was a falling out. It wasn't just from the get-go. It was a falling out, and then at the wedding, apparently everybody was sozzled, and Rory made it a point to go, "You're kissing and making up. That's it now." And they did, because the young buck was asking them to do it. They did. So just leaving that on your table, Steve.
I think I might have to I think if you can supply me with a few more ideas like this is good.
I got lots of them. Loads and loads of ideas. It's just what to do with them. But then now we know. I just put them across your desk and just leave them there, say nothing, just in the hopes that you may end up making it. But I do think we need to see, an Any Given Sunday or a football parody of of Rog. He's the gift that keeps on giving, like, isn't he? Because it's the long pauses too, like, and he's under nobody's pressure bar his own. Like, that's the beauty of when he speaks. Like, RT, you're going, Rog, like, we have Six Nations to get through here.
Oh like, yeah. For this one, back in the day, the on the RT, the next thing the eyes would be going down and be going, is he texting somebody?
Yeah. He doesn't care. Like, it's all on his time, which you have to, you got to appreciate. Is there like anybody that are you thinking of branching into any other sports or fields that are popular right now? Because
well, I'm working with a crowd for football. So
brilliant.
Yeah. So I've done. There'll be a few kind of because I do Graham Souness, and Graham, he's he's a grumpy old man. So there'll be a few at a keno. I don't really do a good keno, but there will be definitely a few keno deepfakes.
Has to be, yeah.
I noticed that Tommy Tiernan, Tommy wears a beanie, and he has obviously the bushy beard, and he has a talk show,
and they have narrow faces the same way. Yeah.
So I've kind of put them together already, and it's like the Roy Keane talk show. There's endless.
Can you imagine that Roy not knowing who was coming out? The lack of control he would hate about that moment, like somebody coming out and he literally going, "Who are you?" Like, no compassion at all for the person, no soft landing, just like, I don't know who it is. Like, well, no, I don't know. Just being grumpy the whole way through it.
Yeah, somebody talking about working 10, 24-hour shifts in a row, and he's like, it's your job. But so the football, I've done football stuff already. I kind of which is great, the Hollywood ones, because movies. What's really hard with doing sports people is, if you look at Rog or you look at anyone like that, mostly Rog is different, obviously, because he's on TV and stuff like that. But most sports people they're only doing press conferences, so their faces are about this big on screen.
Yeah.
So when you then put them in a movie where there's a close up, it doesn't look right, So, but in movie stars, you can actually move them pretty much easily from movie to movie. But I met Mario Rosenstock a few weeks ago, and he was so cool. Like, he was just randomly down the road here, and because he said like that he'd do a voice for one of them, so I'm hoping he'd be still up for that. But Um, there could be, let's just say, the one I'm planning for that is the new Bond.
Oh, brilliant.
So,
Brilliant.
and candidates for that. So I'd love if he did that. Hopefully he'd be stoked for that. Yeah. So yeah, but I think there's no other. Tennis is probably an untapped resource a little bit. I think
I
there's
suppose it is. Yeah.
Mm,
I mean, there's not a lot
but
of crack out of them lads. No, in all fairness, like
no,
there's no crack. I mean, there's
no.
probably oodles, but then everybody's having a go at it in the way they like MMA or boxing or whatever. There's a lot of there's a lot of footage to be spoken through on things like, but trying to crowbar some of them into situations,
Yeah. Well, MMA is one actually. I watch a lot of, I suppose, MMA and boxing and stuff like that. So that's another.
I mean, people
I
are
used to do
deeply
Chris
passionate
Eubank
about.
back in the day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Well, but I suppose he's not as relevant. But I used to love the thing is when Chris Eubank would say these incredible things, So he had this sort of like, and I'm trying to think of who the other. Yeah, there's a few different ones. Anthony Joshua and all this kind of stuff as well. So I think there's definitely a few that I could probably squeeze in there into some.
Yeah, I mean, you could do the Annie one again, with like maybe have Canelo as Annie because he's foxy and whatever, and maybe have Tyson Fury as Daddy Warbucks because he's big and bald.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I'm
There's
just
more
throwing
ideas.
I'm just throwing the stuff out there. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that Canelo doesn't, the fact that nobody has pointed out that the man is the most Irish looking bloke that has ever walked. Like he's
Yeah.
Mexican. Are you joking me?
Yeah.
He looks like he's from fucking Roscommon. Like there was definitely
He probably is. He probably is.
There was definitely somebody wandered south of the border there, I'd say, when they landed back in the Pilgrim days, I'd say.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a few ideas in there, yeah. Canelo. And then McGregor and stuff like that as well. So yeah, there's I'll have to some of the guys, Al Foran does a great, him and
oh yes, yeah,
and
yeah.
Conor Moore, they're brilliant, and so maybe I might hit them up and see if they'd do a McGregor for me if I put him into something, So
oh, class, yeah. Well, the fact that you
yeah.
can do what you can, like, that's the thing. It ain't on the sound. The fact that you can do the deep fake stuff, like, it's terrifying but absolutely brilliant at the same time.
Yeah.
Stephen, this has been an absolute pleasure. So we're out looking for, basically, we want to see Rog in an American football movie. And that's all. And Johnny, please God, he's going to play for the next 2 World Cups just to keep things relevant. And Paul,
we'll have to do something nice for Johnny the next time. I think Johnny will have to be.
Yeah.
If we bring him out, he'll have to.
You need to be punching up with Johnny the next time rather than down. Yeah. Something nice, just to. What'd be a nice warm movie for Johnny? A nice warm thing. I'm trying to think of something that was a feel good factor. I don't know. Switch him out with the Rock's face or something. Just put him make him massive.
Maybe something for Christmas.
Maybe. Oh, nice. Oh, that'd be nice.
There could be.
Yeah.
Something.
Who are you saying you were going to swap out Tommy's face? Oh, Roy is Bad Santa. Yeah. Billy Bob Thornton and his face. They wouldn't be too far apart.
I have that one in the oven at the moment.
We don't want to give away the farm, as they say, just yet. Stephen, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on.
Great to talk to you. And keep those ideas coming.
I absolutely. I'm going to annoy the shit out of you now, just sending you stuff like, hey, what about this? And that you'll be sorry you asked for that. Trust me.
Be careful. Might start putting you in a few of them.
I would love you to try and do my accent. There's no point. Like, I look ridiculous to start with. I don't know where and I have a giant forehead. I don't know who you're going to align me with. Maybe something out of Mars Attacks or something.
I'll find one. I'll find somebody.
Just out there scouting foreheads. Thanks a million again, Stephen.
Great talking to you.
And my thanks again to Stephen. Check out the show notes below if you want to follow and see some of the stuff. And I'd say he's open to suggestions. I can't wait. If he does one of me, I'll be so proud. I'll be delighted if just to pull off my accent, because it's a weird enough voice that I have. To pull off my accent should be fairly interesting. If nothing else, maybe just lay over somebody else's accents using my face. Happy days. You know all the gigs, you know how to subscribe to Patreon and all the benefits you got if you listen to the top of the show. It does support the show, but you get rakes of other stuff like today's video. You get the Ramble Pods in the middle of the week and ad-free content, as well as a live Royal Ramble that we're going to do in the next couple of weeks, probably on the 31st, purely for the patrons. I'm gigging Galway this weekend. Come see us. I'll be the one with the ridiculous hair wearing a pair of cool-ass pit vipers. Or come see me in Limerick the following week. Till then, boys and girls, go on away, enjoy the weekend, and I'll talk to you again next week. Good luck and thanks.